We are glad to welcome you to our channel. Kindly subscribe to our channel and share our videos with your friends and relations. And click on the bell icon for instant notification whenever new videos are uploaded on this channel. Rest assured that we are going to have a very exciting and inspiring discussion. Let's dive into the lesson right away. Hello everyone. In today's to look at best tips for stress placement. Choose the word that has the correct stress. This kind of question usually occurs in most English exams, and placing stress correctly is not an easy task for most English learners. So we are devoting today's lesson to examining the best way to place stress on English words. This is West African Senior School Certificate Examination 2023 preparatory lesson, and we're going to illustrate with 2020 past questions. Okay, we're going to answer some questions on stress placement from the 2020 WASSCE. So let's dive into the lesson. In this lesson, we are going to cover the following. 1, what is word stress? 2, why should we learn word stress? 3, what are the factors that determine stress? And 4, what are the rules of stress? Let's begin with the first basic question. What is word stress? Word stress is the extra force used in pronouncing a word or a syllable to make it sound louder and longer. Word stress is also known as syllable stress because in a word of 2 or more syllables, stress is always placed on a particular syllable within the word. For example, the word education, stress is placed on the second to the last syllable. That's third syllable, if you like. Education. Responsibility. Democratic. Banana. Musician. You see, so stress is placed always on one particular syllable within a word. So that gives you insight into what stress is all about. Then why is it important to learn stress? Excuse me. Stress is used to communicate meaning clearly in English speech. Consider the word project. Now, when we use this word as a noun to mean a piece of work undertaken, then stress is on the first syllable, project. Now, if we use the same word as a verb to mean, to communicate clearly, then stress is on the second syllable, project. So you have project on one hand, you have project on another hand. So you can communicate meaning by using stress. Now, we can see that the same word project has stress, changing its meaning, okay? We use stress to make the meaning clear in each case. We use stress to indicate when we are using project to refer to a piece of work undertaken, and when we are using project to mean to communicate clearly, okay? So it helps us to convey our intended meaning, and it helps us to communicate our ideas accurately and more clearly. That's what stress is about, and that is why it's important that we learn stress. Misuse of stress leads to mispronunciation of words, which of course distorts meaning and results in a communication breakdown. So that's why we learn stress. Now let's look at factors that determine stress. It's important you understand the factors that determine stress. Number one, word class or part of speech. And this is obvious in shifting stress. As I earlier mentioned, project as a noun, project as a verb. So the word class determines where we place stress. So one of the determining factors when we want to place stress on a word is the word class. You know, the stress pattern for a noun is different from the stress pattern for a verb. For example, when we use the same word as a noun and use it also as a verb, it means we place stress on the first syllable when we use the word as a noun, and we place stress on the second syllable when we use the word as a verb. Now, the second factor is syllables. We have to consider the syllables. Monosyllabic words, bisyllabic words, polysyllabic words, these are, different types of words depending on the syllables. Then we have strong and weak syllables, so in the rules that guide stress in monosyllabic words has to do with the type of words we are dealing with. English words can be classified into lexical words and function words. Lexical words are those words that carry meaning in themselves. Words like nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs, they carry meaning. But then words like prepositions, conjunctions, articles, auxiliaries, they are words that we use to join other words. So they are unstressed in most cases. So we stress lexical monosyllabic words and we leave function monosyllabic words unstressed. Then there are rules that stress bisyllabic words and other rules that guide stress in polysyllabic words. Then we also need to understand the difference between strong syllables and weak syllables. Now, what determines a strong syllable is the presence of a vowel. For example, if we look at the word about, is made up of two syllables, okay? And I just have to transcribe it to show you what I mean by weak and strong syllables. So this is about. Now this is a sure sound. Is the most frequently unstressed vowel sound in English language. In most cases, this is unstressed. So any syllable that contains this is usually a weak syllable. But this is a diphthong, which is called a double sound. So it's most likely to be stressed. And so here, stress is placed on the second syllable. Wow. Wow. So you see, so we have this as the weak syllable and we have this as the strong syllable. So that is exactly how you determine which one is a weak syllable and which is a strong syllable. Then we have another factor that determines stress is affixes. Affixes are those parts that make up a word. They are basically prefixes and suffixes. Prefixes are unstressed except in shifting stress. Suffixes determine stress in polysyllabic words. For example, words ending in suffixes ion, ian, ial, ic have similar place of stress, etc. So as we look at specific examples, we shall be looking at how these various factors determine stress. So let's move on to the next item, rules of stress. You know, language is governed by rules, and basically every important thing in life is governed by certain rules. So let's look at rules of stress. Number one, if a two-syllable word is used as a noun and also as a verb, stress the first syllable when it is a noun and stress the second syllable when it is a verb. For example, project as a noun, project as a verb, export as a noun, exports as a verb, import as a noun, imports as a verb. Other words include object, object, present, present, convict, convict, conduct, conduct, produce, and so on and so forth. So that's one rule of stress. Now, another rule, if a two-syllable word is used as a noun and also as an adjective, stress the first syllable when it is used as a noun and stress the second syllable when it is an adjective. For example, August as a noun, August as an adjective. So you talk about the month of August, but then you talk of an august visitor, all right? Then you talk about an adult, and then you talk about an adult human being. So adult as a noun, adult as an adjective, okay? So that is exactly. Then other ones like, yeah, let's go to rule number three. If a two-syllable word is used as an adjective and also as a verb, stress the first syllable when it is an adjective, stress the second syllable when it is a verb. For example, present as an adjective, present as a verb, absent as an as absent as an adjective, absent as a verb, frequent as an adjective, frequent as a verb, etc. Now, more of the rules of stress. Number four, when two-syllable nouns and adjectives are stressed on the first syllable, of course, most two-syllable nouns and adjectives are stressed on the first syllable, but most two-syllable verbs are stressed on the second syllable. Well, of course, we noticed that in the previous rules because whenever we have a word used as a noun and as a verb, when it's used as a noun is on the first syllable, when it's used as a verb is on the second syllable. Again, when a word is used as an adjective and also as a verb, it's stressed on the first syllable if it's an adjective, but on the second syllable if it is a verb. So here, when you look at nouns, window, Monday, hostel, etc., adjective, gentle, easy, righteous, prosper or proper, etc. Then verbs, produce, report, narrate, transfer, dictate, denounce, reject. So you see, in most two-syllable verbs, stress is on the second syllable. Rule number five, if a two-syllable word begins with a prefix, stress the second syllable. This is because in most cases, prefixes are almost always unstressed. So when you have a two-syllable word beginning with a prefix, you leave the prefix and you stress the second syllable. For example, disturb, unfair, unknown, return, rewire, remake, enjoy, impound, observe, desist, about, expand, confirm, between, invite. So in all these cases, you see that in all these examples, the first syllable is a prefix. This is a prefix. Tab is, not a prefix. So this tab and fair, and known. All right. Now take note that this rule applies more to verbs, adverbs, and prepositions. The prefix is stressed for a noun that can also be used as a verb. We saw that in the word import, export, So take note of this. Export, import, convey, object, expense, abscess. These are all prefixes, but because they are nouns, the first syllable is stressed. Okay? Now, rule number 6, for words that end in the following suffixes, they almost always take a stress on the second syllable from the end. I-O-N, I-C, I-A-L, I-A-N, I-E-N, I-O-U-S, T-A-N-T, and so on and so forth. Examples: communication, supervision, demarcation, atomic, dramatic, strategic, democratic, economic, colonial, proverbial, tutorial, civilian, comedian, musician, sufficient, deficient, ingredients. Well, this is arguable. Contention. Because this is a noun, in most cases, this should be ingredient. Righteous, important, pollutant, etc. Now, this is how you break the word into syllables and then count from the end of the word, because here we are talking of the second syllable from the end. So here, look at the word democratic, democratic. Then we start counting the syllable from the end. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we count 1, 2, and then we place stress on the second syllable. And what we have is democratic. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. So stress is on the second syllable, okay? So that's exactly the way it is, okay? So now let's move on to the next rule, rule number 7. For words of 3 syllables or more that end in the suffixes ty, nate, ize, they almost always have antepenultimate stress, that is on the third syllable from the end. Examples: captivity, curiosity, finality, inferiority, variability, dependability, fortunate, unfortunate, delicate, necessitate, articulate, inoculate, reinvigorate, monopolize, economize, apologize, subsidize. So you can see stress in, placed in the same way. So when you look at the word reinvigorate, we break the word into 5 syllables: reinvigorate, and then we count from the end of the word. Well, in some cases, some people might want to, count from the beginning of the word. Why not? Depending on which one you find easier, to apply when you want to identify where stress should be placed. Rule number 8, words that end in EE, 3 syllables or more, especially nouns with EE, that's the long E sound, are stressed on the first syllable from the end. Examples are absentee, detainee, nominee, reportee, divorcee, and so on and so forth. Most of these words are words of French origin, and you know that, French words are stressed on the last syllable. Parlez-vous français? Parlez-vous français? All right, so words of French origin in most cases are stressed on the last syllable. Now, rule number 9, stress the fourth syllable from the end for 4-syllable words and more if the word ends in ism or able. For example, revivalism, revisionism, tribalism, impossible, impalpable, improbable, etc. All right. Then rule number 10, the last but not the least of the rules, for words of 4, 5, and 6 syllables that end in able or able and are introduced by the following prefixes in, income, in add, in call, in they are almost always stressed on the syllable that follows the prefix beginning from a word. So this is one way. Another way in which prefix can be used to determine stress. For example, here we have in, co. Now these are prefixes. So after the prefix, the next syllable should be stressed. Incorruptible, incomparable, comparable. The word comparable, then when we put the prefix, we bypass the prefix and place stress on the next word after the prefix. Incomparable. Now, again, here we have incompatible because in and com are seen as prefixes here. Incompatible. In and, you see, inert. Okay, inert. Inadmissible. After the prefix, stress is placed on the next syllable. Then incredible. Credible is a word. Then the prefix here is in. After in, then stress is on the syllable that follows. Incredible. All right. So now let's look at, West African Senior School Certificate Examination of June 2020, English Language 3, Objective Questions, Test of Orals, and specifically Section 4. So these questions are questions on stress, and the instruction is as follows. In each of the following questions, the main or primary stress is indicated by writing the syllable on which it occurs in capital letters. From the words lettered A to D, choose the one that has the correct stress. And then we have this, 36, overwhelming, 38, inflammation, 39, calculation, 40, economic. Now let's take this one by one, and I will explain to you how stress, is determined. Now, let's begin with question number 36. The word given here is overwhelming. And the first thing that I must bring to your notice is that even without knowing any particular rule of stress whatsoever, you can use the rule of intuition. Now, you may ask, what is intuition? Intuition is something that forms part of your background knowledge, something that lies deep in your subconscious, as a user of the language, over time, you have a lot of information stored up in your subconscious mind, a lot of linguistic information, because you have had people use various English words over time. You have watched people, broadcasters on television, reporters, on radio. You have also interacted with people in the English class or in the office in different places. All right. So there are a lot you know about the English language, and you have picked up a lot of speech sounds of the English language. So you can rely on intuition. For example, how is this word pronounced? How have you often heard it pronounced? Have you heard it as overwhelming, or overwhelming, or overwhelming? Now, even relying on the on intuition, you know that it is overwhelming. So you will place stress here because that's what you have had over time. And if you have always had the correct pronunciation, then you are right. Overwhelming. That's one way in which you can actually try to choose the correct stress when you are ignorant of other rules. Okay, then I will also apply other rules when we come to certain other ones that are quite obvious. So the accurate, let's go through the options here. Option A, overwhelming. B, overwhelming. I'm trying to pronounce it the way stress is placed here. C, overwhelming. D, overwhelming. When you place stress here, it's quite strange. So the correct option definitely is C, overwhelming. So stress is on the third syllable, okay, second syllable from the end of the word. So that's the correct option. So correct option is C, overwhelming. Okay. Now this brings us to question number 37. The word given here is melancholy. And so we have the three options. Option A, melancholy. B, melancholy. C, melancholy. Melancholy. Stress is here. D, melancholy. Stress is on the last syllable. Now, these are various options. Now, I want you to understand that it is not in all cases that you can get it right or correctly when you use the intuition. For example, among second language users in my country, what you always hear people, the way you hear people pronounce this word is melancholy. Melancholy, stress here on the second syllable. But that's wrong, all right? The correct one is melancholy. Melancholy, okay? That's the correct option. And one of the things that can help you to figure out where stress should be placed when you are ignorant of other rules is to consider the fact that this word is a noun. So melancholy is likely to be on the first syllable. So let's now move on to question number 38. The word given here is inflammation. Okay. Now, option A, inflammation. B, inflammation. C, inflammation. D, inflammation. Well, these are strange pronunciations, but you need to understand I'm trying to pronounce each option the way stress is placed. And when I pronounced each option, you could figure out whether it was abnormal or the normal pronunciation. The correct option is C, inflammation. And there's a particular rule that is applicable here. You know, words ending in ION, polysyllabic words ending in ION, are always stressed on the second syllable from the end of the word. And so when we count the syllables, 1, 2, 3, 4, so we have 4 syllables, and this is the second syllable. So this is where stress is placed. And that gives us C as the correct option because we have applied this rule. There are other suffixes like IC, IAN, IAL, and so on and so forth. These suffixes always push stress to the second syllable from the end of the word. Okay? So let's now go on to question number 39. The word given here is calculation. Option A, calculation. B, calculation. C, calculation. You see, I'm trying to pronounce them, according to how stress is placed. So you might hear some of the pronunciation and it sounds quite abnormal. That shows you that's not the correct one. D, calculation. You see, it's abnormal to place stress on the second one. And the correct option here is C. And again, the rule to be applied is words ending in ION. Okay, so always remember polysyllabic words ending in ION, stress is placed on the second syllable from the end of the word. So here is the second syllable. This is the third syllable. This is the fourth syllable from the end of the word. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we place stress on the second syllable from the end of the word. We are applying one of the rules we earlier saw. So that gives you this as the correct option, calculation. Now, let's now go to the last but not the least question. And that is question number 40. The word given is economic. Economic. Now, A, we have economic. B, economic. C, economic. Economic. D, economic. So you will find out which one is strange and which one is normal among these pronunciations. And C is the correct one, economic. Economic. Now, stress is on the second syllable from the end of the word. Again, we are using the rule, words that end in IC are stressed on the second syllable from the end of the word. So from the end, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then we place stress on the second syllable. So this gives us the correct option. And this brings us to the end of today's class. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you did, make sure you like the video and share it with your friends and relations, especially those who might be sitting one English exam or the other in the near future. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, kindly leave them in the comment section below. See you in the next class. Many thanks for watching today's video. A big thank you to all of you out there for being part of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, kindly subscribe to this channel. Subscribe now as a way of giving us support. For notification about new videos, click on the bell icon. You will find the bell icon. Click on it so that whenever a new video is uploaded, you will be instantly notified. If you have actually enjoyed the video, like and share the video with your friends and relatives. This is very important. If you have any comments, leave your comments below. Any questions, any suggestions, we would gladly receive them and respond promptly and positively to them. See you in the next video. I look forward to always seeing you in the new video. Thank you.